Hi, this is Bob Samuels, founder of TechConnectr. TechConnectr is a marketplace and campaign management platform of best-of-breed account-based marketing lead generation solutions. We've partnered with the B2B Sales and Marketing Exchange to bring you wisdom from leading account-based marketing thought leaders. To that end, I'm happy to introduce you to Shonodeep Modak, Chief Marketing Officer for North America at Schneider Electric. He's helped 100-year-old global B2B and B2C corporations, including ExxonMobil, GE, and now Schneider, grow and remain relevant by fusing smart analytics with demand creation creativity. Shonodeep, it's a pleasure to speak with you. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. Just getting back from vacation, so a little rusty, but getting up to speed.
Beautiful. 'Tis the season. Huh? I just several people I've been interviewing came back from from France and India. What about you? Where are you coming from?
Kind of all those places too. I was in we were in Germany and Austria with the family, and then before that, I was in India. So I trying to figure out what time zone I'm in right now.
Outstanding, outstanding. I know how that is. I'm heading to India actually in November,
Oh,
so it's
nice.
supposed to be a pretty good time.
You'll have a great
So
time. Great time to go.
yeah, I hope you had a good time. So tell me about if you could give our audience a little bit of your background, where you've been, and kind of your association with ABM or B2B marketing in general.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been living in the B2B world for a very long time, and in my career, I've worked at now three companies, all very small startups. The first one is ExxonMobil, and I was in the downstream side for about 8 years, and then shifted into, and I did a number of different roles: sales, business and analytics. I did marketing, I did operations, and then loved marketing, and then I changed over to GE the G Energy, or now what is now the G Power business. And there I did more of marketing throughout my career, and I did marketing, and I reached several CMO roles while I was at GE, and then most recently, last year I changed from GE to Schneider Electric, which is many people may not know that in North America, but internationally it's a big global industrial automation and energy management player, and I've been now with Schneider Electric as the North America CMO for the last year.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So so the topic's ABM. I understand you're going to be presenting at the B2B SMX event actually this month, coming up in a couple weeks
Yeah.
in Boston. So can you share a little bit about your topic and what people can expect when they come visit?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I've done over the last, call it, 10 years of my career, as I've kind of moved into more leadership positions in marketing, is with each time I've taken over a team or built a team, it's been some sort of organizational design change, and I've learned a lot through each of those instances, and I've probably done it about 4 or 5 times with larger teams. And what I've realized is that it's not about an org chart; it's about how the organization operates and the culture of the organization, and how you have to help change that, and what you align people around. And so my title of my talk is opening up the panel door, because we make electrical panels as kind of our core products. We're doing a lot more than that now in software, but I've titled it "Opening Up the Panel Door: Rewiring How Your Marketing Team Works." And it's about really around going beyond the org chart. Many people think that when they change the org chart, things are done and that things kind of keep moving along. But I've learned that's not the case. And especially in the B2B world, it's much harder, because you have channels to go through. You have, call it a less, call it, you have more of a gray area in terms of how your team affects the business, and how you make a seamless journey for the customer. And so I'll be talking a lot about how you pivot the marketing organization out of this traditional mode of org change, and we make transformation a cultural event as much as it is structural. And I'll share some tips and tricks around how to rewire a team with the best success, as I'm sure many people are constantly doing that or thinking about doing that as a major event.
Wonderful. It sounds very interesting and always important. So I like your background, especially since you've got background in sales and analytics and operations. It's got to be able to help you with understanding how to cooperate and coordinate with the other groups.
Yeah, I think what I've learned is that It's not about the marketing and being a fantastic marketing team that's using all the great shiny things. It's about how you operationalize those things into impact. And obviously, that sounds like motherhood and apple pie, but the operational aspect of it is truly important in that you're involved, to the final, little detail, because it's those little details that can make or break and create the insights that make success happen.
Wonderful. Well, as I talk to people, I realize how important it is for sales and marketing in particular to coordinate around ABM. So, have you had any ABM projects,
Yeah.
either at any of these companies, really?
Yeah,
Recently?
no, starting not so much at ExxonMobil, because I think at that time it was still very early on in the early 2000s, but at GE we were doing that quite a bit, and mainly in terms of the digital, call it web interaction with our customers, that our customers had with our web presence. At Schneider, I think we've have taken a, call it, a more sophisticated approach on ABM, with how we look at the portfolio of accounts that are and coverage model of our sales organizations. We have not we have tried and attempted a few different ABM platforms, but I would say that we are still kind of exploring and trying to learn which one can really help us and require the least amount of effort, because it does require a lot of management. So we do take an approach where we work with different sales coverage models, and then the level of support is commensurate with that type of touch point that either our sales team have or doesn't have. And that's kind of how we balance, call it, the ABM approach with us at Schneider.
Interesting. So, and are the efforts more toward bringing in new prospects and new customers, or building and growing existing ones, maybe land and expand, that sort of thing?
That's something. What's one of the things, actually, and it's interesting you say that. That's one of the pivots we're trying to make now, because we've been spending so much time on lead generation of customers that our salespeople haven't called on. And of course, as a salesperson, many times, especially in B2B, you're there working day in and day out, trying to close an RFP or respond to an RFP or some existing piece of business, and having the time to go after a new account, it's a struggle. And so for us, what we've realized is that we can help try to expand the portfolio, or the current scope of an opportunity. And so we're looking kind of in the middle of the pipeline versus trying to start at the very, very top of the funnel, and try to grab more business with customers that we've never engaged with. So we're trying now to look at our existing customer base, and look at the deals that are in play and see how can we help accelerate the velocity, improve the pipeline, or the shift, call it, into other software services and other things that they may have not considered. Customers may have not considered.
Makes sense. So who drives the process? Is it sales or marketing, or is it a team effort?
It's certainly a team effort. I would say that the overall sales process is driven through the commercial operations side, but how we see where we insert ourselves is by engaging different teams that have different coverage models. Like, let's say your inside sales team have unnamed or non-named account targets, and then you have your strategic accounts team that has a whole different level of engagement. There's a whole spectrum of that, and we really look at how we support nurturing and how we engage and target and retarget customers, based on those touch points, and of course, obviously, where the ROI is on the investment that you make. So it's kind of a mix of different tactics and different programs that we approach our customers with.
Makes sense. So, and then once you identify, I guess, which customers or prospects you want to go after, how do you know who the decision makers are at those companies? There's obviously more than one buyer at each company that you go after.
We've actually done a lot of work. So one of the things I'll talk about in my presentation is how important it is to shift away from being a product focused to being customer focused. And I think everybody is on that journey, but just doing that and saying that is not enough. And what we've done is I've been able to, call it, fund research within my new team that is focused on understanding the segments. And while we've done a lot of good VOC and call it good segmentation analysis, we have to now look at what are those. We have to do more of the listening research that looks at what are those top call it topics that people care about, that our customers care about, and those key trends, and I would say are really important to them, and that we can help use as a way to break through a lot of the call it a lot of the clutter and noise that they are seeing into something that's impactful for them. And so we've been funding a lot of that research in the very beginning, and now we're using that to help develop the right content materials that addresses those needs and those issues and challenges that they're facing.
Interesting. So you mentioned research. So are you literally going out and calling your customers and prospects, or are you hiring someone to do it, or are you using third-party data like Bombora?
No, we're doing primary research. So we have hired partners to help us break through and get that type of intelligence, and then we're then having my channel and segment leaders going in and really try to interpret what that means into campaigns for our next year.
Smart. And how do you know? So it sounds so you're learning about the hotspots or the key topics that you want to be able to present to that target audience. How do you know what medium to use? How do you know what channels? Should you reach out to them by email, or should you call them?
Right. So that's actually great. So one of the parts of this research, one of the outcomes of the research or results of the work outputs of the research is not only is really understanding those trends and call it challenges, but also we've asked for in each segment the top personas to put together a journey map. And if you're familiar with kind of the Serious Decisions approach to a B2B journey map, customer persona journey map, it kind of looks at both the digital and physical touch points. Digital and human touch points across the buying journey. So we've asked to create the research to help us fill out what that map looks like and what are the most likely call it engagement mechanisms and at different stages in the process, and have those drawn out for each persona.
So you've got an idea of what to talk about and what means, and maybe the timing, and
that's exactly
so a whole story, I guess, you want to build out.
That's right. And if we want to, if we can build the journey map and figure out what are the right tactics and what are the right in each phase of the decision or the journey process, then we apply the listening research into what are those key topics of interest that are going to be that they're going to gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So did I hear you say that you've looked into or you've tried out some ABM tools or platforms?
Yeah, we have. We've tried a few in the past, both at GE and at Schneider, and I would say that it requires generally a lot of hand-holding and call it management in the very beginning. And I think what ends up happening in our industries, in our businesses, is that to have somebody dedicated on that for such a long time, the ROI is not there versus say other campaigns that person could be deploying on. And so I think the blame is not necessarily the provider. I think it's on ourselves to have really invested the time, not only the money but the time to get these things working.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too, is that there's no magic bullet. It's not a matter of going out and buying the software. There's a lot of planning and strategizing and a lot of key things involved. So it's a process, I guess. So I wish you well. If you have some favorite technologies to share, feel free. Otherwise, I can go on to another question or so.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Good. I was just going to say, no, you can go on. I don't have any favorites, and so I'm still. I think we still. I don't think we've cracked the nut, like you said.
Yeah, I agree. So, and you also mentioned you have a background in business analytics, and I assume that means includes intelligence and optimization.
It does. Mainly from call it more of a product sales standpoint, but a lot of my background I've spent on on business analysis, trying to interpret the financials and how those are impacted by how our different businesses did at ExxonMobil, and then afterwards, I did a lot on our retail side, on retail analytics and category management. So planning out the store planograms and what's the optimal spacing and optimal product mix based on the demographics of the store, kind of more of classical category management. But that's helped me be successful, I think, in trying to interpret data and help my teams understand, how to translate data into insights.
Makes sense. So you'd mentioned that Schneider in particular has a big presence in Europe, and you're more involved with the North America. So I guess you personally don't have any constraints regarding GDPR, but does it affect your world?
It doesn't affect my world too much, other than some of the platform choices that we make are have to be GDPR compliant because they are global platforms. So for the most part, I have to be familiar with it because we expect things to happen in the U.S. at some point. And again, we do have a lot of global customers that are based in the U.S. that are located overseas too. Global customers headquartered in the U.S. with employees that are located internationally that we are targeting. So we have to be somewhat familiar with it. Right,
and then with California and with Massachusetts threatening, I think it's just a matter of time before it's going to be a worldwide thing. So might as well get into the habit now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you see as far as the future? So you've been at some really good companies. What are you seeing happening as far as ABM and targeting and intelligence and even the privacy laws and everything? How do you see this technology going in a year from now and 5 years from now?
Yeah, I see there being a confluence of, in the B2B world, there is a lot of, call it, third-party data on projects, like upcoming projects that are available. And I see more and more ABM, call it a confluence of ABM, where it comes to really understanding what those customer projects that are upcoming. So when you do have that, call it, customization or bespoke sort of experience that a customer has to your website, you've used that project intelligence to kind of make it relatable to the projects that they have already, because that's what they're searching for. So they're searching, in our case here, we could have an engineering firm looking at a new hospital, for example, and they are looking at what's the next building management systems that they should be incorporating, or are there some power distribution systems that they should be looking at. And we technically have that ability to know that because we have subscribed to project intelligence databases that should be able to tell us that. And so that's one of the big kind of transformations I can see happening, whether or not we do it or if a service provider does it. And then I think the other thing is also on the services side. Once our equipment is installed, once we've sold a product, I think ABM has the ability also help that customer also understand when they come back to visit that we've already understood what product they have, and that when they come back in, it's not just them having to log in. We've already made that experience customized to what products they've purchased, without even them needing to even log in, and having that kind of seamless experience on saying, okay, you've had your product for 3 years, you should be looking at these various types of service solutions. Or maybe you've had your product for 20 years. Did you know that we had an upgrade for you? Based on the fact that we know that customer's call it, DNA or past relationship that we've had with them.
Beautiful. So you're using third-party data, or this is the future, I guess, but using third-party data to know what they're using, and using your first-party data to know what they're using, and
that's right,
and plan to help them along with their journey.
That's right. Rather than just being content, I think we can really be more proactive on looking at project intelligence and service state install-based intelligence, internal data that we have to help really shape a more customized experience, and not letting it just have to be only content.
Mm-hmm. So are you using such data providers currently, like HG Data, where you can understand the current technology install?
We have not found anyone yet that has been able to tell us where our products are installed. I think every one of us and our competitors are struggling with really understanding, beyond the last, call it 5 years, where was our circuit breaker installed 20 years ago. Those records are maintained on paper, and because we have the channels, we don't really get to see where a lot of this ends up. And so we haven't found anyone that's been able to kind of map out our install base very easily.
Wow.
It's just
That's
data that's
fascinating.
is never collected anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand that. Actually, we can talk offline. Maybe I might be able to have some ideas for you.
No, great. I'd love to hear.
I think but it's a great concept. I mean, and also likewise for where your competitors are, I guess, right? For takeout campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wonderful. So I look forward to seeing you in Boston. Is there any other words of wisdom you have to share for our audience?
I would just say, I think when we're all together, I look forward to meeting all of you, and I hope that I can glean a few bits of useful, call it takeaways that I can bring back into my organization, because I know B2B companies are running at different speeds. I'd like to believe that we're in the fastest gear, but I know there are others, and I'm humbled to hear what others have to share.
Yeah, the event should be excellent for networking with other marketers who, like you said, everybody's got something we can learn from everybody. So I look forward to some of the shared learning out there.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for the opportunity to talk with you and chat with you, Bob. I really appreciate it.
Yes, Shonodeep, it's a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Thank you.